Live.
Well, hello and welcome everyone to the Waking Up Spiritually podcast. I am Wendy Rose Williams and I am a past life energy healer. I help people release energy that does not serve them anymore. Often it can show up as physical or emotional pain. Chronic pain can show up as anxiety, depression, or just feeling stuck, like you cannot get things moving along despite the wonderful effort you're putting into it. And my website is wendyrosewilliams.com. And I'm going to now invite Gregg Kirk, my co-host, to introduce himself as well as today's topic. So welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gregg Kirk. You can come to my two websites. I've got one, greggkirk.com. That's spelled GREGGKIRK.com, or LymeRecoveryClinic.com. So I help patients with Lyme disease, but I, of course, do energy healing as well. So I do in-person sessions as well as remote sessions. I have patients mainly in the United States, but all around the world. And we do telehealth as well as remote sessions, but also in-person sessions. I have an office in Connecticut. I run also online group healing circles via Zoom every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. And I do in-person healing circles. We just did one of the most amazing ones in a salt cave on Saturday. It was very special. Had a lot of big moments for people there. So if you're interested in any of those things, on any of those websites, click the event link to see what events you might be able to participate in person. And of course, there's an appointment link up at the top. So if you'd like to schedule an appointment with me, either for a consult or for an actual session, I welcome you to do that too. So Wendy and I were just talking prior to starting the broadcast. This is the first time she and I have just been alone talking together since November, because we've had guests and done other things, channeling and then had other guests, and so this is the first time we've been alone together talking, just with the subject in mind. And this was something we talked about a little while ago, and it's kind of welling up. Both of us have had kind of this. Well, I'll kind of preempt it, but you can also fill in, Wendy. We both have practices, so we both get information from different patients' guides as well as our guides during our sessions. And we've noticed we're getting some similar things. And then, of course, we're both friends with other healers and light workers, and we're hearing similar things. Kind of some things are going on. And we kind of joked around and said, this seems to be the news, the news that's going on around whatever the astral universe, the multiverse, whatever you want to call it. But it's kind of, hi, Henley. Henley has some input as well.
Going to the animal world also.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
My dog just popped in, for those of you who can't see, and she's got her face in the frame at the moment.
That's Henley. Yes. Lovely. But the point being is that we both have been getting some similar information. And this is kind of an intuitive thing as well. We're both kind of like, wow, this is welling up and we want to talk about these things. So this is a very intuitively driven, guided set of topics based upon hot news happening now, top headlines. So without further ado, I'm going to start pulling up the deck, and Wendy, you can take.
And what Gregg's going to do is he's going to bring up the PowerPoint deck for those of you who are watching. And we do have PowerPoints for most of these discussions. And you can go to the archives of this podcast at wakingupspiritually.com. And it has a wonderful search bar, and you can put in whatever topic you might be looking for. And you also can just suggest to us any topics or ideas, areas you need help with. If you can't find a podcast on that topic, please let us know. And it might be very likely one that we can create for you, because if it's bubbling up and it's a need for you and it's a question for you and you're not finding good info on it, that is very likely true for other people too. So wakingupspiritually.com. You're also welcome to join our Facebook group, which is the same name, Waking Up Spiritually. And there you can see this podcast live. And it is the second Monday of the month at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Yes. So you can see the screen okay, Wendy? It's
yes. Showing. What's the latest news from the guides?
All right. Hot off the press.
So let's start with an energy clearing and blessing for everyone. And you're welcome to close your eyes, just get comfortable and just settle into your body. And we'll call in the angels and ask them to please do an energy clearing and blessing for all of us. Thank you, angels, for sweeping your nets up through the core of Mother Earth and through everyone's physical body, mental body, spiritual body, emotional body, subtle bodies and aura, financial bodies, creative bodies, all of our bodies. Please take any energy with you that does not serve us up to the light for healing now, bringing down beautiful alignment with our own higher selves, our own distilled soul wisdom from all lifetimes, also bringing in wonderful alignment with our purpose, with our life path, with our guides, with the divine, with Mother Earth. We'd be so appreciative of that. Let's do that twice more. Thank you, angels, for sweeping your nets through everyone's home and property. Here we are moving into spring in the Northern Hemisphere, just perfect time to be energetically clearing out your home and space and your property and where you live, just uplifting it, letting go of energy you do not need, giving it that true spring cleaning so that your home and property are supportive of you, well aligned with you, as well as everyone else who lives in your home or visits it regularly, be they two-legged, four-legged, finned, feathered, scaled, or anything else I did not mention. Having our homes and properties be supportive of us, wonderful sanctuaries for all of us. Thank you. Thank you. I'd be so grateful for that. One more time. Thank you, angels, for sweeping your nets through all of our emotions, because this is a very energetic time. The Schumann resonance has been very high, lots of changes in the astrology, just change, change, change. So thank you for helping us balance up our emotions, because we come into human bodies, we came here at this pivotal time to be raising our vibration and frequency, to be ascending with Mother Earth, to be assisting Mother Earth at this pivotal time. But that is bringing up a myriad of emotions and energies, because they need to be seen and felt and heard in order to be balanced. So please sweep your nets, angels, through any emotions that are not serving us anymore. Send any sadness, any feeling of being discombobulated, too rushed, not enough time, any feeling of lack of support, lack of love, feeling lonely, disenfranchised, any discomfort, any pain, any stuck energy, anything that is not serving us, please send it down our grounding cords now to a gracious Mother Earth, where you can pull up from her magnetic core the fountain of youth energy. You can bring up all the resources that you need when you fully settle into your body. Invite your higher self fully into your body, wonderfully grounded to Mother Earth, and then you're also able to connect beautifully up to the divine. So just feel that centeredness, wonderfully grounded, wonderfully connected, loved, and supported. Wisdom available to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, angels. It is done, so be it. So you're welcome to come gently back into your body, feeling refreshed, renewed, rejuvenated, and centered for the rest of our conversation today.
Thank you, Wendy. So, hot off the press, changes are coming. Read all about it.
You got your old newsman's cap on there, Gregg?
Right. So the point of this being, I've been hearing about changes coming to the earth since 2014. And you know, what exactly do I mean by changes? Energetic changes starting with the earth itself. So the earth going through some kind of growing pains, growth, shedding of skin kind of thing, where I'd heard that there
New
was
Earth.
new earth, yeah, rebirth of earth, whatever you want to. So I've been hearing about this for 10 years, that the earth is that we're going to see a lot more storms, earthquakes, volcanic activity. We're going to see the Schumann resonance go through the roof. So what's the Schumann resonance? That's spelled SCHUMANN RESONANCE. Back in the day, people used to say that is the Earth's heartbeat. Well, that's kind of a nice, it's an easy way to understand it, but it's really the Earth's frequency. It's almost like the Earth's pulse, maybe. Well, which is like the Earth's heartbeat. It's the Earth vibrates at different frequencies, like we do throughout the day. And it's related to a number of things, atmospheric conditions, just the Earth itself is going through stuff, but it's also affected by solar activity. So solar storms, coronal mass emissions, all these kinds of things. What are those? Solar storms. So you've heard the idea of solar flare. So that's like a burst. That's almost like a volcanic burst coming from the sun. It can hit the Earth. A coronal mass emission is, what does that mean? Corona means crown. So it's like the top of the sun just blasting out. And, that could destroy a planet if you're close by. So we don't want to have a head-on hit from a CME, coronal mass emission, or even some strong solar activity. But these are the kinds of things that can affect the Schumann resonance and the Earth's health itself. So I've been hearing about this for a long time. And one of the things I was hearing back in those days was that we were going to get hit by a big solar flash, or people were calling it the Great Flash. So some people were predicting that it would probably be a CME, a coronal mass emission, going out and hitting the Earth, which would, let's face it, would burn some of the Earth. It would kill some people. And so I was hearing this kind of doomsday idea that, well, it will kill some people. More or less, I'm being facetious here, but the bad people will die and the good people will stick around because their vibration is higher and they'll be able to withstand it and all that kind of stuff. So I was hearing that, and then that was back in 2013, 2014. And then later on, I started hearing, and what do I mean by what am I hearing? I'm hearing information from people who do channeling. Okay, so I'm hearing channeled information of people saying, well, it might be it'll appear more like a flash because we're doing channelings, we're doing QHHT sessions, and the guides are coming in and saying it's going to look like a flash. So it may not actually be a solar flare thing that's so dramatic and destructive. It might just be this flash of energy that'll happen. And now, we got some really cool information from our guest, Ann Tucker, 2 months ago, where her angel said it'll be a wave of energy. And it much less dramatic. I like what she described. It felt right to me because I'm getting something similar from my guides and other people's guides as I do sessions, is that something is changing. The Earth's vibration is rising right now, and it's affecting people on Earth. And this is another thing that I was hearing 10 years ago, was it would cause end times madness in some people. So the people who would resist this rising Earth energy, it would make them feel bad. It would make them feel like things are falling apart. For the people who understood what was happening, and they were trying to adjust their vibration and go with the flow, they realized it was the growing pains or the changes in the Earth happening, and this is the new world. This is the new Earth. This is the way things are going to be, and it's a better thing. And of course, it's scary when there's a change like this. Like, we've never experienced anything like this. Like, all of a sudden, can you imagine just feeling really strange one day? Like, you don't know why. It's just energy is changing. You feel sick. You feel like you're losing your mind. And so instead of falling down the rabbit hole of fear, you can realize, well, maybe this is what Gregg and Wendy is talking about. These vibrations are the Earth rising. So I want to rise with the Earth. I want to ride, I want to go with this. So it's, the old, do you stand in front of the wave and try to resist it, or you just surf it and let it take you to the new place that's better than where you're standing? So, so I was hearing,
Ride the wave.
right. So the wave it'll probably be energetic, and maybe you'll be able to see it, or maybe not. I mean, the way these things tend to happen, is we can have all these predictions and it'll end up being something different. but I think the end result is going to be something, as I like what Ann said. It's like nobody can hide from it. Everybody will be affected by it, even if you're underground, if you're in the air, if you're underwater. This energy change will sweep through the earth, in all dimensions, and through all vibrations, and it'll affect everyone, and you'll probably feel different. So people who are expecting it, ready for it, understand what it is, they're not afraid of it, they'll be able to kind of surf it and go to a better place. If you have intuitive abilities, they'll be heightened. You'll be happier. Colors will be brighter. Maybe there'll be new colors that we haven't seen before, we'll be able to see on the earth. These kinds of things will happen. And the people who will be afraid of it, they'll be terrified. They'll, oh my God, what is this? And they'll have a hard time. So I think that's probably what to expect. So before I go much further on this, Wendy,
I can hear my guides right now, and they're saying to not be in fear. That
Yeah.
is the major thing. Yes, there is a major change coming, and change can be scary, but it is not destructive in the sense of like a nuclear bomb with radiation. It is
Right.
not that.
Right.
An increase in light. It's an increase in love and in joy, and being able to just hold one another up and help your neighbor. It's just an increase. I shouldn't say just, it's an incredible, amazing increase in light. And we chose to be here at this pivotal time. So I think it's just doing our best to, as you said, Gregg, just like keep our center. And if you can't picture yourself being a great on the surfboard of standing up on it, well, guess what? You can lie on your stomach on that surfboard.
Right. Right.
You can be on your knees on it. You can just do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
And I think we may see some power disruptions to technology, perhaps to our lights, our water, our heat. So I think it's smart to just, always be prepared and be a good Girl Scout or Boy Scout, or a good camper, and just have some things available, in your home, because it's always good to prep, but just prepping from a place of just taking care of yourself and being responsible for yourself, and being happy,
Right.
from that place, versus from being in a place of fear, because that's what leads to the stockpiling and the things that don't make sense, that go too much in that direction of, now I'm going to barricade myself and everyone's out to get me and I need to have a lot of machine guns.
Yeah. Doomsday preppers. This is not
I'm
a
talking
doomsday.
about food and water and things that you need for your pets, and alternate, just things like to camp out and be be prepared. And I think the reason that some systems may go down, it's twofold. It's not just this, seeing like this wave of light and energy, uplifting energy coming in, but it's a reset.
Yeah.
And we're seeing some powerful resets, some systems and things that don't normally go down. Like, Facebook went down, and I just blessed it and said, yay, leveling.
Right.
Or if like a payment processor goes down, that sort of thing. It's like, oh, yay, it's resetting at a higher level. That's just how I interpret it, in what I try and hold the energy in that moment.
Right. Right. Yes, because that was one of the things I heard 10 years ago, is that if there was more like a solar flash, it would affect all electronics all over the world, which would so it would uh, electronically and technologically bring us to the time when we had when we didn't have any electricity, which is 150 years ago, which people were still living. They were doing great back then. They just lived by candlelight and had horses and stuff like that. It wasn't a bad time. And then I've heard of an even other a deeper thing, like there's artificial intelligence that needs to be wiped out, and that was perhaps something that was involved as well. But that's getting a little down into or down a rabbit hole. But that said, all this, when are these things supposed to happen? According to Anne, now, she's the only one who I've talked to in a while, other than, so I had heard years ago, or I've heard in the past 3 years that 2024 is a time when something might happen. And then Ann Tucker said, well, her guys were saying springtime of 2024. So guess what? On March 19th, that's the vernal equinox, the first day of spring. And obviously, I don't think at midnight on March 19th it's going to happen. I don't think that it'll be like that. But that's when spring starts. So it's just something to kind of be ready for, or keep your eye out for. If there's ever a day when things just feel a little different, and maybe a little off, maybe a little sideways, instead of being afraid of it, look forward to it, because it's literally one of these situations where the change starts, and at first you think, oh, I've never experienced this. Instead of thinking I should be afraid, think this is the thing we're waiting for, because it literally is the thing we're waiting for. Things are going to get better. So that said, what should we do? And that's one of the first things that what we should do is to not hold fear, because I think one of the big opportunities for this is to sweep fear from our planet, right? So the people
Open
who,
our hearts, do
right,
everything we can to just live in our hearts, and
yeah,
just, you can imagine your high heart activating, and you can just feel the visualize flames coming up from that and clearing your mind, because the fear is up in the left brain and the ego typically. So
right,
just clearing that out. There's your
right.
spring cleaning.
Right, yeah, spring cleaning. So, and another thing is to try to keep your vibration high. So, there's many ways to do that, starting with mentally realizing that, everything is potentially a lesson. Everything is Wendy and I have done a couple of episodes where we'd mentioned this idea that life is happening for you. It's not happening to you. So if that, believe it or not, when you get in that fender bender on the street and you think, oh man, what I do to deserve this? Just wait. Something good will come of it if you just watch what unfolds. At first, the whole idea it is to kind of trick you. It's for you to test your faith and to go with the flow, and just to get through the uncomfortable part of the fender bender, and then watch what happens. Because maybe the person you literally bumped into is somebody who's going to be a partner of yours in the future in some way. You start a business together, you become lifelong friends. Who knows? It could be something like that, or circumstances after the wreck could bring abundance to your life, or happiness, or health. That's how these things happen. So it's all about the faster you can get out of blame mentality and victim mentality and fear when these things happen, the faster you can let what's really coming to you appear. So it's like with the overall thing of whatever we're going to experience here, hopefully in the springtime, preparing for that, you can start preparing now, today, for just the little things that happen in your life that are unexpected, that are, uncomfortable or maybe unpleasant on the outset. They always bring something good later.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's
And the other,
well put. I
okay,
think
thank you.
that is the biggest decision we make in life, Greg, that determines what our life is like, is, can we truly believe that the universe has my back versus the universe is out to get me?
It's a big leap of faith.
I
Yeah.
think it's the biggest decision. And yes, absolutely, we get tested along the way with that.
Yeah. The other thing I'm getting at this time that's kind of slowing people's energy down now is look for the repetitive cycles in your life. So we talked about this in one of our first episodes of breaking cycles that no longer serve you. And I mean just little things like habits, daily, cycles you're going through. I've become more aware of it on the daily basis. I take my supplements at a different time now, or I take them in a different way. I try not to do exactly the same thing that I've done the day before, because it doesn't feel right to me to get kind of in the wheel ruts of life where you're not being mindful for one thing, and your energy slows down. You're just kind of acting like a robot when you're in these daily cycles or weekly or monthly, whatever they are. So what I've been getting from my guides is look for anything that is like a repetition for you. And
And find some fluidity instead so that you more go with the flow and have more ease and grace. Is that what I'm hearing?
you're hearing that perfectly, because that's
And
going
you're
to
gonna laugh, Greg, because my phone just lit up and Ann Tucker was calling me.
oh
So
my,
anyone that's hearing us referring to Anne, she is a lovely friend of ours. And the last podcast that we did was with Ann Tucker, and you can look on her website or YouTube to see what her specific predictions are regarding the wave of light and some preparation recommendations.
and is that ANNETUCKER.com? Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
yeah. So that's very coincidental. Well, or not. Her ears were burning.
I think our
We
energy just
invoked her.
connects.
We invoked her. Yeah, we brought her energy in. But anyway, back to the repetitive cycles things. Once we get these little things, these little kind of blocks or slow energy down, we'll be ready for something big, to come that might be more challenging on the outset, but we'll be ready. It'll be easier for us to just kind of, go, down our back like water on a duck. And then just the other thing, this is the final thing in your life. This goes down deep. This goes down into internal soul work, or really having a conversation with yourself, is how much can you let go? What are the things in your life? I mean, really have a conversation with yourself. Do you have any addictions? Are there things that are unhealthy that you're doing? I'm not just talking. So let's move past like, all right, are you doing the same things over and over again? What about, are you a substance abuser, or do you, do you eat too much? That's making you unhealthy. There are things that you're doing that in the back of your mind, even though it gives you pleasure to some degree, that if you stop doing that, you would be a healthier person. This is tough stuff, tough conversations with yourself, because these are boulders compared to the other blocks. And if you can let go of these things, you're ready, you're ready to fly, ready to surf. So, you know, uh, there's many ways to do these kind of things. Of course, Wendy and I can help you. It's usually these kind of things you might need a little bit of help, you know, um, this kind of soul searching work. So reach out to Wendy and me on these types of things. But the whole point of what I'm saying right now is what you do. How can you prepare? It's just to get yourself, your energy as light as possible. So.
Exactly. I think getting excited for change, and depending on our personality, some people are better with change and with the unknown than others. So,
Right.
but just do your best to visualize positive change. And maybe you have a friend who's great at that. If you don't feel like that's one of your strongest skills, so just have a conversation. It's that rule of thumb that we're the best combination of the greatest five friends that we have that that we hang out with. Our people that we choose to spend time with really are so important.
It's interesting you bring that up. So I have a patient who has OCD, like, pretty profoundly. And so you want to, so people who have OCD do not like change. It can trigger them and it can cause them to go into behaviors and so forth.
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yes, obsessive compulsive. So it's people who do repetitive things to help because they're afraid, they want to control the situation. It goes down into this psychological world of they feel like if they do these repetitive motions or whatever, it will ward off anything bad from them or their family. It's a good root. It's fear-based in general, but the root is they're trying to protect themselves or somebody else. But the patient I talked to said that, and so it's a tough thing to deal with. The patient I talked to said that the best thing they did was to hang out with somebody who was the opposite of them. Somebody who was
Oh,
free-willing,
so
didn't
very
give a
adventurous.
care about anything. Oh, I don't care about that. And this person said that really helped. Basically, it was somebody else modeling behavior that they wanted. And it was funny because this other person was way too carefree to the point of being a little bit reckless. And then that person took on some of the more positive aspects of, not the OCD of, but being, more organized.
Balance.
It created a balance. Yeah. Yeah. So that's interesting. Anyway, Wendy, I'd like to move on here, and here's some topics you and I talked about a couple months ago in terms of spiritual healing. And you and I talked about this idea. We were going to use it for a Mythbusters thing. Can you heal too much? Remember? Because I said, I think this is a topic where you and I might disagree, but then after we talked it through, I think it was just a syntax thing where we disagreed. So so you had made the statement in one of our broadcasts, can you heal too much? Do you want to tell me what you
Sure.
meant by that?
I will bring this one up as a personal example. When I first really got on my journey of healing my past lives, before I knew that I had opened my full book of records, my book of life, which is unusual. There's a reason our past life memories and experiences are in a book of life for us. And I chose in this lifetime to come in and open it all and to essentially heal them all. So what was happening back in 2010 when they first started coming through is I would learn about one and I'd be in such intensity with it and working and doing meditations and working with healers and journaling and doing all these different things to heal it. But every past life I opened and became aware of and started working with, Gregg, it led to like three more and three more and three more. And I felt like, what is it in Greek mythology? The Hydra, where you cut off one head with your sword and it grew like three more heads.
Right.
So what I needed to learn to do was to work with my own higher self and guides and work on pacing. Work on titration, because we're all like onions in my mind, in a wonderful way of there's always more beautiful work to do, but it gets easier because you've got more skills, you've got more abilities, you're finding your balance more often, you're just centered more often, you know how to hold it, you know how to reset your energy. So I just needed to learn how to connect with guides and say, guys, gals, too much, too fast, slow it down. It's not that I don't want to learn and do my work, but this is just too much. I'm working full time. I'm taking care of two children. I'm commuting. I have a home. I have animals. And we need to find a pace where I am not just flattened and just being pummeled, because it felt like I was being pummeled by my own good intent of my soul wanted to heal all my past life energy. And past lives, it's not the doom and gloom report. There was so much wonderful information and abilities and just happy things there too, but it was simply too much, too fast. It was the ultimate fire hose of healing and I needed it to be a garden hose.
Right, right. Right. So I thought when you said, can you heal too much? I thought you meant like you get to a point where you're just doing healing all the time. It's not working anymore. So you're done healing. Um, and I thought, what? No, this is a lifetime thing. You can always heal because you're in this lifetime. So you got to heal from the stuff that happened to you in this lifetime. Then you've got your genetic inheritance from your genetic line. You've got stuff that wasn't even your fault that you inherited. So your ancestors had traumas that happened to them. They traveled through your DNA and you inherited that in your body. So you've got that to heal. And then, of course, you've got past life stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the DNA stuff. So you can have had lives on other planets or whatever, and that doesn't have anything to do with your family lineage, and you can have traumas that way. And I first read about that stuff, 20 years ago or more, 30 years, 25 years ago, when I read Brian Weiss's book about, many
Yes.
lives, many masters, because, he would do these regression sessions, and then people, who got hung in one life, suddenly now they've got asthma or they got choking issues. And once the past life was brought up, suddenly they were healed. And that was a brand new concept to me. I thought, wow, that's incredible. So that has nothing to do with what's happened to you in this lifetime. It has nothing to do with what's happened to you, your family lineage. It could, that's what makes it more complicated. Sometimes you've had past lives with people, in your family line, but those are the three variables. So when Wendy said, can you heal too much? I thought, you've got so much work to do. Just as the day you're born, you got work to do. But I think just, you're talking about too much, too soon, too fast. You can be overly aggressive in healing, and absolutely that you can do that. You can do that with physical healing as well.
Yes, absolutely. You haven't gone to the gym in 4 years and you decide to suddenly do 2-hour workouts, days in a row. Well, your body's not going to be very happy with that decision.
Well, I see it in the Lyme disease world, where Lyme disease is something that takes months and months and months, even years, to get these multi-infections out of your body. And sometimes people come in, they're like, I want to get this over with right away. I want to be done with it in a couple of months. So give me high doses of all this stuff. And I'll say, your body's not going to handle, because what happens is a die-off reaction. So you kill so many pathogens, it releases toxins in your body. And then you feel awful. It can be dangerous even.
You can move into healing crisis,
Yeah.
both physical and spiritual, and emotional.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I didn't mean by can you heal too much
Yeah.
do you get to this place where you just sit on your laurels and go, oh,
Right.
I'm so perfect.
That's what I thought you meant. I thought
I
that
am
doesn't sound like Wendy.
angelic.
Right.
I have
Which,
no room for improvement. I certainly
right.
did not mean that by
Okay.
this
Right.
topic.
I'm glad I'm glad we talked about it. It made for a good discussion. But that said, even just with healing, I would say in your life, whether you're on the path of learning to be a healer or not, or just as a person, you should be learning every day, or you can, until the day you die. And even the day you die, you're learning about dying. So it's like you're always learning. You're always a student of this experience of life. So very good, Wendy. So this second one, what am I telling myself that's limiting me, came from one of your sessions. Do you want to describe that?
One of my clients, I invite clients before their first session, because we do a series of 3 sessions, and I invite them to send a list of questions: health, wealth or career, relationships, and miscellaneous, of assistance that they would like from their own higher self and guides. And then I help them get that information. And one of the clients, this was one of her questions, is what am I telling myself that's limiting me, or that simply isn't true? Because we can be just in this falsehood place, where we think we're here on a journey to understand ourselves. I think that's the ultimate journey, to understand ourselves, our energy, our emotions. and to come to some peace with that and have more understanding of that. But I thought it was such a powerful question. So I asked the question of myself, just to test it out, because it just like so lit up for me when she had written it,
Mm.
sent me the email, and I had one come up that I was really surprised by. So I think it's a powerful question,
Yeah,
to ask yourself, what am I
I
telling myself that's limiting me or that's not true?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Those two things are important. What am I telling myself that's not true? And then of course and slash limiting me. So I would refer back to the previous slide of how can you prepare for, the coming changes. Ask yourself, those are one of the probing questions I would ask yourself, during a meditation, or just even if you're driving, just you're thinking about your mind is kind of wandering. This is a good probing question. What am I telling myself that's limiting me? Because we're all capable of so much more than what we're doing right now. So yeah, that
Because we're living in a conscious world in many ways, just how our psyche is set up when we're in a human body. And we're impacted by many things from the subconscious level and by the unconscious level. So I think this is a way of bringing it up to our conscious world, because we can be getting tripped over these unconscious beliefs and subconscious beliefs that we don't realize are there. I mean,
right.
and they often can be from past lives. Like we can think, oh, I'm such a go-getter, I'm just doing great in my career and I'm doing great saving, et cetera, and taking care of business. But then when you're really looking at your bank account, or when you're writing a check or the simplest transactions, and you feel like your heart drop down to your feet,
Mm.
that's an example of there's dissonance going on.
Right.
You're just not telling yourself the truth of how you really feel about it.
Mhm.
And that is great to know. That's truly a breakthrough, because then you can look for what's really going on here, and why am I feeling limited in this area? Why am I feeling fear? Why am I feeling stress, anxiety in this area?
Right.
Because we can be telling ourselves a lie because we want to feel great about XYZ,
Right. Right. Yes.
but that's not what's really going on. So
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the last one here is suffering necessary. So, um, this is the one that came to me. I don't like to suffer. I don't think anybody does. I like to avoid it as much as possible. Um, and I always was repelled by the idea of, oh, various religious groups who like self-flagellation or try to make, wearing sackcloth and poverty and,
creating pain.
yeah, oaths of chastity and things like that, and just really living, trying to make yourself miserable to make you more pious or whatever that or it was going to pave the way to heaven for you or whatever. I never responded to that kind of thing. And obviously, like anybody else, I don't like pain. So I was fascinated, but I've been through my share of it through disease and other, injuries I've had in my life and so forth. But I was doing a session last month, and a patient was asking this question, like, why is, she was suffering, her husband was suffering, and the question was like, why so much suffering for both of us? And then she blurts out, and I'm starting to see a scene, and then she blurts out, forgive them, they know not what they do. And I knew exactly what she was saying. That's a quote. It's
Oh,
mentioned them in the Bible.
there's a lot of energy right there.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's what Yeshua said on the cross. So as she said that, I saw the scene of the crucifixion. So why was I seeing that? So it's probably one of the, it's an easy, it was used for illustration. It's the most well-known story about suffering. I think that most people know that Jesus was killed on a cross, stabbed, nails through his feet, the crown of thorns, and left to die. And while he was in that situation, he said, "Forgive them, Lord, they know not what they do." He forgave the people who did that to him. So I'm like, why am I seeing that? And the guides were like, okay, here's the deal. So they're basically saying, number one, suffering is necessary because, I hate to say that because I don't like saying it, but it is true. Why is suffering necessary? Because when you get over the suffering, the energetic reward you get is much higher than you would get any other way. Okay? I'm just going to say that one more time so you understand. There's the way to get to a higher energetic state, to ascension, whatever you want to call it, is through suffering. And it doesn't mean you should go and hurt yourself and do self-flagellation. That's not how it happens. Believe me, it just comes to you. So when the suffering happens, and there's the saying, pain is inevitable and suffering is an option. So in other words, you'll go through suffering at some point, but the length of time you spend in the suffering is up to you. Because once you realize the suffering is there for you, that you're going to get to the other side of it, it happens much quicker. And I've experienced that. I know whereof I speak. But here's the thing. Here's the final thing. How do you get over that hump of suffering? Forgiveness. So the guide showed me that whole situation, and unfortunately, a lot of people in the world only think about the crucifixion, how bloody it was, how cruel it was, and how sad it was that, Yeshua died. What the example that served was, even in that situation, he forgave the people, his perpetrators. And that
Which
was the
sets
example.
you free.
It set them free. It set him free. It created a massive upload of energy.
Yes,
Yeah. So
exactly.
we each can do that. So is suffering necessary? Yes. To a small, yes, but you can get over the hump through forgiveness. That's the formula. Pain, suffering, forgiveness, ascension. So
And it might be forgiveness of yourself.
yeah.
Because we can absolutely suffer in a situation where we don't feel we made the best choice and did something that we really regret, and can just be very, very stuck in that energy. So it's so interesting, Gregg. I think the timing is just perfect that you bring this up. And I think that quote is very, very powerful. Pain is inevitable and suffering is optional. And I agree with you. We're able to find a way. Part of it is when we're in those situations, it brings us to a brink of, are we going to spiritually surrender? Are we going to let go of what was causing the issue? Are we going to be able to find some peace around it? And often the path to peace is forgiveness. It's just such a big deal to be able to, and forgiveness, it doesn't mean that we're condoning this certain action, but there's just such a bigger picture to most things. But we get the tunnel vision because we're in a certain situation and we're in a body, and we're in that moment of feeling that someone has done something unforgivable, or that we have done something unforgivable.
Right.
It's one of the things that I chose as a soul to really work on and to master this lifetime, was my ability to forgive and to just really be in that place, because I didn't think I was especially good at it.
Yeah.
So I therefore created several situations in this lifetime that many people would consider unforgivable, but I learned, and I wanted to feel better, be free, move on, release it. So I chose to forgive. Sometimes I did it graciously. Sometimes I did it slowly and not with a lot of intelligence to it, not with a lot of heart. But I think it's so, so important. And here we are coming into spring, and we're at the time of year when the resurrection flame is the strongest.
Mhm.
And just leading up to March 31st, to Easter. And this has nothing to do with being a Christian, being a Catholic. It's an energy available to everyone that we're able to resurrect our lives and set ourselves free through forgiveness. I think it's just such a powerful, powerful gift to ourselves as well as to those around us. And I feel that it lifts everyone up when we are in that energy.
Absolutely. Well said. All right. Our last slide. Free will versus predestination, or predetermination, predestination, determinism, whatever you want to call it. Is the world set up so that it doesn't matter what we do, everything's going to happen, and we're just going through the motions? Or do we have free will where we can make choices, and our choices affect ourselves, affect other people, it'll affect the timeline of the earth? What is the situation? Well, it's what's called a paradox, where both things can exist at the same time. And this is mentioned in the book Children of the Law of One, the Lost Teachings of Atlantis. I recommend reading it. This is a book that was predicted by Edgar Casey about 100 years ago. He predicted that there was going to be a book called Children of the Law of One, written in 1996 by John Peniel, and this is it. So,
Talk about a specific prediction.
yes. And in this book, they talk about the paradox of free will and determinism. And basically, the teacher in the book says they both exist at the same time. But as he's telling his student, it's pretty lopsided. It's 90% predeterminism and 10% free will. Because most of us kind of like go through these robotic days where we're not thinking, we're not using our free will. We use our free will very little, believe it or not. I mean, everybody's different, but it's amazing. Pay attention. How much of your free will do you use throughout the course of your day? You don't use it very much. You use it only 10%. But that 10% can make a big difference, especially if we all become aware of it. And I've joked in my online group, Healing Circles, we've had plenty of conversations about free will and determinism and how they work together. And I joked, I said, it's kind of like the car seat that they used to sell in the 60s and 70s, where they would have a steering wheel for the kid. They let the kid feel like they were driving, because it's really the car's going anyway. And yeah, you can feel like you're driving if you want.
Great analogy.
Yeah. But, all joking aside, that 10% can have a big impact, especially with our group consciousness, our collective consciousness, and we become aware of it. If we want to, we can, as a group, as a race, we can all start thinking about something together, and that 10% free will can change the world. So,
Well,
anyway.
perhaps that's the definition, Greg, of waking up spiritually and having the training wheels come off for us as humankind, where we're more capable and we're going to do great things with our free will. So as we practice it more, we love the word earn, but we have more of it because we're exercising more of it.
That's I love that comment. So that's very good, because I mean, honestly, if everybody's free will had an impact on the world every day, I think the world would be in much more turmoil than it is now. But so it's probably good that most people are not aware, and that's the people who are waking up are hopefully heart-centered people who want the best for the world and so forth. So hopefully that's how it's how it's going. But that said, it's just another thing to be aware of. Like I said, how much of your free will do you exert every day? And what are you exerting it on? Are you exerting it on cutting someone off in traffic, or are you trying to help your fellow man, or woman, whatever.
So it's being fully in your power without abusing it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you have a choice. You have free will. You can abuse it too. So you can you can do whatever you want. And that's what they say in the Children of the Law of One. They don't believe in, well, they don't say that there is a dichotomy of good and evil. They say there's a dichotomy of service to self or service to others. So if you exert your free will on service to others, helping other people is the point. That feels like, if you want to translate it to that's good, versus being extremely selfish, that's not good. That's borderline evil, or is evil, however you want to define it. But that's how the polarization happens: service to self, service to others. And I've just noticed in my life, the more I started, and so what does that mean? It doesn't mean you go out and start a soup kitchen or something like that. It means just easy stuff: being kind to someone, helping them across the street, picking up their
Right.
groceries that they've, whatever, just being kind every step of the way.
Right. I had a fun one like that today that you're making me think of, Greg. And I walk my dog daily along the same mile route most days. And as I got out of the car today and started walking her, the gentleman called out from across the street and said, "Oh, enjoy your walk, puppy. The street's very clean." And I realized he was the man that I would see regularly. And he has this big blower, and it's like a big, huge street cleaner vacuum. So it's just a private citizen, but
Oh, yeah,
choosing to get out there and to literally clean the street. So
right.
I thanked him and said, "We're really going to enjoy our walk, and enjoy your day too." But it just was so sweet, that he
Yeah.
bothered to call out to a stranger that he didn't know. And he was addressing Henley and telling her to enjoy her walk. And I got a chance to thank him
Right.
for cleaning the street,
Yep. Yep.
himself and all his neighbors.
Yeah. Well, I'll just go a little bit further in this, what this book says, so it's more or less, this is like a primer or a textbook for people who want to raise their vibration and go through an ascension process to get better as a human being. And, so they talk about meditative practices and things like that, but they said, the teacher says, this is one way that you can raise your vibration. Just do good acts, good deeds. Do good deeds, physical deeds, because that changes energy. Your physical actions changes energy in the material world. It makes people feel good. It changes their energy. They go and their happiness spreads to other people. It causes a chain reaction around the world. Just your good deeds, and it could be, things like you're saying, thanking somebody for a kind act that they did, and these are kind of the kinds of things that I would just take for granted, 20 years ago, but I'm not anymore. I'm making note. I'm trying to make eye contact with everybody I see, smile at them, say nice things, I try to joke with people and make them happy. And, or, half of what I do, I try to help patients who are suffering with Lyme disease, So these are things that if we continue doing them, we can do all the meditative practices that we want, and try to get ascension that way. And yes, we should do that. But this is like another dimension.
To
This
put it
is
into daily action.
exactly where the rubber meets the road. You do your good deeds, and good things will happen.
Mhm,
All right,
mhm.
Wendy, I've enjoyed this broadcast today.
Yes,
Thank
well,
you.
thank you, everyone. Me too, Greg. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And please join us April 8th for the next Waking Up Spiritually podcast. And as I mentioned, you can join our Facebook group, which is Waking Up Spiritually. And then you can listen to these podcasts live if you'd like to. Greg, is there anything, I don't know if you're able to check if there's any questions or comments right in there.
Yeah, I'll
to
look.
us right now. And our website is wakingupspiritually.com, and it's got that great search button on it. So you can look for help that you might need with a particular topic. Maybe you'd like to know more about your life purpose, or how to connect with your guides, or how to clear your energy, whatever the topic might be. You're welcome to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We so appreciate you rating and reviewing us on Apple iTunes, or anywhere that you choose to listen to your podcasts. And we're on there as Waking Up Spiritually, because that just helps other people find us. So thank you so much for that. Visit Gregg at his website, which is Gregg, Gregg, Kirk, KIRK.com. And Gregg, what is your your second website, the Lyme disease one?
Yeah, Lyme, Lyme, recoveryclinic.com.
Perfect. And my website is wendyrosewilliams.com. And you're so welcome to visit it and click on the events tab and come join me for a free energy clearing and blessing with Q&A. I offer those on an ongoing basis. It's a 1-hour group Zoom call together. And I also have on March 20th, I will be doing a 45-minute complimentary workshop on how to get connected with your guide, on meeting your guide. So register for it at no cost via my website, and then you'll get the Zoom link to join for that. So any questions or comments on the website or on the Facebook group, Gregg?
Just well wishes.
Okay,
People
perfect.
saying
Well,
hello.
thank you
Yeah.
to everyone, and let's all just enjoy jumping into the new wonderful uplifting energies, and we'll see you on the other side, because just who knows, we're going to come back into one of these and go, that was it.
Right. I think so. All right.
Just keeping our energy high for those. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.